creating a high performance culture. And whether we're talking about a great sports team or a great business, there are certain things that they do to allow themselves to perform at a high level day in and day out, year in and year out, season in and season out. And this is just going to be a quick crash course on some of the different things that they do. So if you're looking to build a high performance culture, you can make that happen. You can make it happen for the long term. And the first thing is you got to clarify roles. And so what are we talking about here? You can look at this two different ways or two different things. The first one is you need role clarity. Or in other words, if you look at any great business or sports team, people are going to know exactly what is expected of them. And when I talk about this, what we're talking about is I get that all of business and athletics and sports is based around results and it's based around outcomes and deliverables and targets, metrics, whatever you want to call it. And those things are great. They provide motivation and direction, but you only ever have indirect control over them. So do you need those things? Yes, absolutely. But to go a little bit underneath that as well, what you need in terms of the role clarity or defining those expectations is defining the behaviors, the actions, and the attitudes that you really expect from people on your team, because they have 100% control over these. And then typically those are the things that if they show up and if they execute and do those things well, will end up feeding into those outcomes or those results that any business or any sports team ultimately wants. So that's the role clarity. And then the other part is the role awareness, where again, let's say from a sporting perspective, I'm a big football fan. What a great football coach would do is he would make every single person aware of how valuable they are to the overall team's success. So all the way from the star quarterback all the way down to the last practice player, every single person has a role and every single person is aware of their value to that overall objective or that overall success of the team. So you got to have those two things in terms of clarifying the roles. And the second thing is to create a safe and a trusting environment. What I would call an environment where you can play to win instead of play not to lose. And what this looks like is it's an environment where people feel okay to be able to make mistakes, and people are actually okay to be able to say what's on their mind, to be able to think freely, to be able to speak freely, because when you allow people to be able to do this without worrying about, oh my God, if I screw up, I'm going to get punished, or if I miss this shot, I'm going to get benched. If you give people the freedom to be able to make mistakes and then give feedback on those things, I oftentimes say there is no failure, there's only feedback. But if you allow people to have that kind of safe, trusting environment where they can go out there and they can do things without the fear of, oh my God, what's going to happen to me if I screw up? That's really where you get people performing at a high level and performing their individual best. Number 3 is to communicate and collaborate. And on this, what we're talking about is, businesses and athletics kind of built around silos, right? Silos, different departments, maybe different divisions. And when we're talking about communication, we're talking about communication not only top down, all the way from the highest levels of a business all the way down to kind of the ground floor. We're talking about communication all the way through an organization, but we're also talking about communication all the way through a department, and to some degree based on the business. When I bring up terms like silos, we are talking about cross-department or kind of cross-silo communication as well. To go back to the football example, it would be like an offensive coordinator never ever talking to a defensive coordinator or never talking to a special teams coordinator. Well, they all may be doing different things, but at the end of the day, they all have a shared goal and they all have a shared objective, and to some degree, what they do is going to be influenced by what somebody else is doing. And in business, it's a lot of the same way. Sometimes collaborating on those different things and communicating and knowing what the other people are doing and getting them invested in what you are doing is a greater way and a faster way to be able to get what you want. So there has to be communication, not only top down, but also communication wide as well as, deep. And then the collaboration part is shared goals. Like, share goals amongst people, get them to buy into what it is that they're doing instead of telling them what is expected of them. Involve them and say, you know what, especially for the people that have been around, that have a little bit of tenure in your organization, you know, what can I expect out of you? And see what they bring to the table and see how that would align with what initially you would expect out of them. And when you get that buy-in and when they're the ones that suggest it, you're going to be so much better off in terms of how they perform. So that's the third. And then the fourth thing is to challenge people to raise the bar and to continue to challenge them to be better each and every day. And when you do this, you know what? You have to obviously invest in employees' growth and development. Okay. If I'm working with an athlete and if I say, I continually want you to run faster or jump higher, but I'm never ever giving them the skills and drills and strength and conditioning and different things to allow them to be able to run faster and jump higher, that is never going to happen. So to look at it and to challenge them by investing and encouraging their own growth and development as a person and as an employee, again, is really going to help them perform at a higher level. And also, as you're doing this, the language that you use when you're challenging them to raise the bar and continually perform at a higher level is one of empowerment. And it's very different to just kind of be a hard ass and be like, I need more out of you. I need you to do better. I need you to do this month or this quarter because, you know what, we live in the now, like today is the only day that matters. It's one thing to kind of come across as a hard ass and just continually be like, kind of whipping people and saying, I need more out of you versus, you know what, I know you're capable of giving me a little bit more because I believe in you and you're a valuable member of this organization. And I know that we can do this. And because I believe in you so strongly, that's why I'm challenging you to continue to grow and develop and to continue to raise that bar because I know you're a gamer that's capable of that. So hopefully that makes sense. And again, this was like this can be an entire workshop, but it was a really short kind of condensed version on what you really need to do if you want to have a high performance culture day in and day out and year in and year out. Again, all great businesses, all great sports teams would have these different things. They clarify the roles, the role clarity, as well as the role awareness. They have that safe, trusting environment where people aren't afraid to make mistakes. They communicate and they collaborate deep as well as wide. And then they challenge their people to continually raise the bar and continue to be just a little bit better each day. You do these things, you're going to have an awesome high performance culture, and I guarantee you're going to be outperforming the norm.